ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरद्विषे नमः। पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतश्चार्थेषु भिघ्नस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्म हृदयादिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। स्वस्ति अस्तु विश्वस्य खलः प्रसीदतां ध्यायन्तु भूतानि शिवं मिथो धिया। मनश्च भद्रं भजता दधोक्षजे आवेश्यतां नो मतिरप्यहेतुकी। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 11, verse number 12. Teachings of Jad Bharat to King Rahugana. And he is speaking about mind, the role of mind, and how it binds a person to the material world. And he was talking about the various types of states of mind which are called vrittis. And he made 11 divisions, 5 related with the working senses, 5 related with cognitive senses, and 1 with the mind itself, or with the ego. And then in the last verse he said that some people say there are 12 because ego manifests in this form of I and my. So that's what we read. Now he speaks about Kshetrajna, or one who knows this, because vrittis, they exist but they have to be known by somebody. So there is an object of knowledge, there is knowledge and there is knower. Because if the knower is not there, then knowledge has no meaning, nor the knowable. So who actually knows? This cannot be answered by the modern science. They know how knowledge happens, but they don't know who actually says I know. They have not been able to figure it out yet. In the brain they can tell you that this is how perception happens, but who is actually perceiving it. So that is beyond the kind of the instruments which they have, because they are studying with the instruments which are made of matter, and they want to study the conscious being with that. But conscious being is called Pratyagatma in Sanskrit, means that is the inner self. And all these material objects, they are called parag, or which are inert or which are illuminated by the Pratyagatma, by consciousness. So just as if you take a spark from the fire, that spark cannot illuminate the fire, or the spark cannot burn the fire itself, the source of fire. That is not possible, because that source is actually supplying energy to it also. So like that, these material objects which are not luminous by their nature, they are illuminated by the Kshetragya. So they cannot approach the Kshetragya. It's like we use a pen to write. That pen can write because we are using it, but pen cannot know the writer. It does not have that ability to know it. So in the same way, the senses are only instruments, and they are used to perform their function. So they cannot know the person, the agent who is using them. So that agent is called Kshetragya. So there are two different words which are used. One is Kshetragya, another is Atma. So Kshetragya and Atma are not exactly same. Kshetragya literally means one who knows the Kshetra. Kshetra means field, and field is the body. Body is compared to a field, because in the field you put the seed and then some crop or vegetables, fruits, flowers, they grow in it. So like that, this body is the Kshetra, because in this there is a seed of karma. There are vasanas, desires, and you perform karma, activities, and that gives you result. So that's why body is called Kshetra, or field. But just as the field is owned by somebody, or somebody who plows it, somebody who uses it, like that there is a Kshetragya who thinks this belongs to me. So pure Atma, as we have been reading before, the pure Atma, the pure self, is not influenced by anything. It is completely separate from Atma, and from the body, and from Kshetra, and from everything else. But at present, the Atma somehow is identifying with the body. And because of identification, it becomes limited or conditioned. It's like you have your house or your apartment. So your apartment is conditioning you. When you go from here back to your country, you will go to your apartment, not that you can go anywhere. So that is the conditioning which is pulling you. If you don't have anything, you could go anywhere. You could go to any city and you will live anywhere, because you are free, like a sannyasi. That's why sannyasi is called sannyasi, because he is free from conditioning. Nyasa means to drop, to give up. He has given up his conditioning. He does not identify that this is my house, these are my parents, these are my relatives. Sannyas means to give up all that. So then sannyasi is also called parivrajaka, means one who wanders. He can go anywhere. So that is the meaning, that he is free from the conditioning. No relations, no possessions. So Atma is like that. But then when Atma identifies with the body, then it becomes limited by that body. Now the Atma cannot jump out of this body and go to another body. identifying with it, and very much this is my body. So that is called Kshetragya. Then it knows the problems of this body, pains and pleasures in this body. So that Atma which is conditioned is called Kshetragya. That is the difference between Atma and Kshetragya. So when we use the word Jiva, usually the word Jiva is used for Kshetragya, conditioned Atma. Although it can also be used for Atma, but technically speaking, Jiva means the conditioned Atma. And Atma in its natural sense means without any condition. So at present there is Atma is with conditioning. So that's called Jiva or Kshetragya. And this Kshetragya is the one who is busy, involved. It's very difficult to conceive it. What do you mean by Kshetragya? What do you mean by conditioning? Because it is difficult to think of two separate things. There is a body and then a self. And self is completely pure, conscious, without any mutations, modifications, changes. And then we have body. But this joint thing, so this is called Chit Jad Granthi. This is called knot, the conscious and the inert matter. And this knot is not something physical, it is a conceptual knot. And this knot is the one which is created by Maya. This we have not created, although we say we identify. We actually have no power to identify by ourselves. This is created by Maya, and when I say created, again that word is wrong. It was never created, it is beginningless. But in any case, we have to use language, so then we say that it is product of Maya, creation of Maya. But actually Maya is also not created because it is Anadi. Prakriti Purusha Vidhi Anado Bhavapi. So Prakriti and Purusha both are Anadi, beginningless, and their knot is also Anadi. Purusha is another word for Atma, and Prakriti is matter and signifies body. So these two things, they have been together without a beginning, nobody has done anything. But this being together, that is the Maya part. That is called knot in the heart. That is called bondage, that is called samsara, that is called bandhan. All these words which are used. Identification, upadhi, adhyas. Various terminologies are used in Sanskrit schools, philosophical schools. So the whole effort is how to get rid of this knot, how to separate this, how to get the Kshetragya out of this. So that's what is being described here. So here in Bhagavatam there are practical stories which explain these things. So here there was a story of a person who is actually free from this knot. That is Bharata. So Jad Bharata, he is free, he does not have this knot. So we are seeing the behavior of such a person, we are listening to his words. So his words are not some speculative philosophy that some people sit down and then speculate. He is speaking from his experience, that what it means. So when he is talking about these vrittis and all these things, he has realized this. So now he talks about Kshetragya. Kshetragyeta manusho vibhutir jivasya maya rachitasya nityaha avirhita kvapi tirohitascha Suddho vichaste hi avishuddha kartuhu. So he says that these are all the vibhutis of Kshetragya. Kshetragya, not Kshetragya but of the mind. Manaso vibhuti, jivasya manaso vibhuti. So he is making two separate Kshetragya, jiva. Maya Rachitasya. So these are all manifestations of the mind of the jiva. And they are nitya, they are eternal. They don't come to an end. So, although my Kshetragya has no physical relationship with the mind, but still they exist and they are eternal. Nitya does not mean that there are two ways things can be nitya or eternal. One is by not going any change, and one is perpetual. So the word here nitya means that they are perpetual, not that one vritti stays eternally. You know that the vrittis are continuously changing. So they are not eternal in that sense. Sometimes they use two separate words, nitya and shashvata or sanatan. So sanatan, shashvat, they signify no change, no modification. Nitya can be applied for things which change but which never comes to an end. It's like Prakriti is also called nitya. But Prakriti is undergoing modification, so it is not shashvat. So, in the same way, the vrittis are perpetual. That means there is one vritti, then another vritti, then another vritti, and they never come to an end. So he says, avirhita kvapi tirohitasya. Sometimes they are manifest, sometimes they are not manifest. So when we are in the wakeful state, when we are dreaming, then the vrittis are manifest. When we are in deep sleep, or when the world comes to an end and there is a dissolution, and all the atmas, all the souls, they enter into Lord's body and matter becomes manifest. So at that time also there are no vrittis, because there is no mind. Mind also goes back into its unmanifest state. There are no senses, no body, no mind, no intelligence, no ego. All these material things, they don't exist anymore. So at that time also there are no vrittis. So how can we say that the vrittis are eternal? So then it says that they are called tirohita. They are unmanifest because the avidya is there, which is the cause of all these vrittis, the ignorance. So whenever the creation will happen, then the vrittis will start again. So you can say that they are in their seed form, or in the form of avidya, or in their causal state. So manifest means effect, and unmanifest means the cause. So they are existing, means the potential is there, and it will sprout just as the seed sprouts when it gets some warmth and moisture and air. All these assisting agents make this seed sprout. So therefore it says avirhita kvapi tirohitasya siddho chaste hiya vishuddha karata. So he says that the pure soul, pure Atma, he sees the activities of the impure one. So impure is the one who is identifying, and he sees all these vrittis of the mind. So Kshetragya himself is pure consciousness. Even if it is identifying, it's still pure. So he is the witness. So basically there is only witnessing of the things, and no action is taking place in the Atma. So it's very important to understand this, because there is a lot of confusion on this whole idea what Atma is and how it is functioning in the body, and where does the agency lie, where is the will, and where is the experience. A lot of debate on this. So this pure self is only having the potential to act, potential to think, potential to experience, bhoktrutva, kartrutva. This is only in the potential, in the pure one. And all the seeing and acting and enjoying and everything happens in the avishuddha part, in this, which is not the pure, which means the mind. But it cannot happen without the self. So in that sense it is just called a witness. So that's why Krishna says Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha ahankar vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. So he thinks that I am the doer because of identification, because of ahankar, because of the ego, and because of the ego he becomes vimudha. Vimudha means bewildered. Bewildered means when one person misunderstands or misconceives or mistakes one thing for another, then you say this guy is bewildered. So the bewilderment is, as I said, that the Atma has its own real ego, and then there is a material ego. So this real ego identifies with the material ego, and then whatever is material ego identifying with or thinking, it is I am the doer, I am doing this, he thinks I am that. That is the knot. So ego is not doing anything, even material ego does nothing. Ego only gives you the facility to think that you are the doer, you are the enjoyer. Ego also does not enjoy. The enjoyment or suffering is all in the mind. But again, mind is in the instrument. It is only an instrument.
You said that when we're sleeping, the mind is supposed to be shut off, and yet depending on the dream that you have, sometimes you suffer during a dream. If it's a bad dream, it's almost like reality, and you want to get out of it. So how do you see the dreams, or because sometimes you can be a witness, the dream is not disturbing you as much, and you kind of observe what's going on and different things, but there are dreams that really scare you because it's something you're fighting for your life, or you're running away from something, or
tiger is chasing you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so when he's saying that no vrittis, he's talking about deep sleep.
Okay.
So there are three states: wakeful state, dream state, and the deep sleep, dreamless sleep.
Dreamless sleep.
So in the dreamless sleep, the mind is not functioning. You are not aware. But when you are dreaming, then you are just observing, just as when you observe when you are awake. And you identify, and when you identify, then because in the dream also you are having a body in which you are identifying. So it's very interesting today. Hare Krishna came and he was telling me that according to his horoscope, it was predicted that he will die last year sometime. The date was also written. But he did not die.
He's enjoying the bonus.
But he actually died. he said that he had a dream around the same time. And in the dream he saw that he is dead. He was lying his dead body and he had a very vivid dream. And then 4 or 5 people came whom he said I could not see clearly, but some people who seemed to know me, and they saw me lying there and they said, oh, he's dead. So if he's dead, now we have to burn his body as we do it in India. So they make arrangement for him, they put him in there and carrying and taking to the river. He's seeing all this. And then the pile of wood and his dead body was put and then the fire was lit. And when it was burning, then he said that I came out alive.
Boy.
And then they said, oh, he's alive. And he said, then my dream broke. So he says that now actually I'm living like it's on bonus. He says, I don't know, I can die anytime because my horoscope is over. And I'll come back. So in the dream you see your own body.
Yeah.
And with that body also you are identifying. And therefore you can also suffer or enjoy. If there is danger to your dream body, then you will suffer. So there is, just as we are experiencing karma in our wakeful state, we are also experiencing karma in our dream. So just as we are getting the result of our past karma in our wakeful state, we are also getting the result of our past karma in our dream state. So because we do activities through body and we also do activities through mind, so the result also comes at bodily level. You may become actually sick in the body, or you may become actually sick in the dream, which is coming at the level of the mind. So we are going through the karma day and night.
So then are those dreams good to move through your karma or burn the karma, or is it... Because in Ayurveda you'd want to calm vata so you don't have those dreams. But
it's like when you are sick. So now you should do medicine and take care of your disease or not. I just think it is my karma, so let it go. So just as in your wakeful state you go for panchkarma, so for your dreams also you can do shiradhara so that you can sleep with less dreams. What karma is going to come, that will come, but what is my duty of present, that I should do. To keep my body balanced.
And why some people are dreaming a lot and some they are not dreaming at all?
That depends on the nature. If you are vata type, you dream more. And kapha type, you dream less.
What a type are dreaming more?
Yeah.
Much weird.
Because the mind is flowing. It's like vata type people also walk more movement physically, right? Vata means air, which the quality of air is it's moving. Even in this room the air is always moving. It's never stable. So that is the characteristic. Your body moves, your mind also moves.
There are also people who walk in their sleep. And
too
there
much
are
work.
deep unconscious things that they want to accomplish, and they will do that depending on what it is they want to do. But they will be, like eyes would be wide shut, but they're carrying out a wish, a forbidden wish, a deeply unconscious wish to hurt someone or maybe enjoy oneself, whatever. But they're really moving around trying to carry out this desire. And when they wake up, come out of it and find that they're standing over someone with a knife or something, that could be very frightening. In the midst of something or beginning to do something. It's like, God. Like the forbidden wish is so strong that it's carried out in that state where they get up from bed and they go wherever they have to go, be where they have to be in order to carry it out.
Yeah, because as you said that they are so intent on doing something that they move their body. Some people move their body on the cot itself. They don't walk.
Yeah.
And others are so active.
Yeah.
And they get on the bed and they start walking. So that is because of the disturbed state of mind. When mind is peaceful, then you also don't move much while sleeping. You sleep. Say a story about Buddha, Mahavir Jain, that when they slept, then they will not even turn aside. Mahavir Jain did not turn aside because he thinks if I turn my side, maybe some entities will be killed. So he says, what is the need to turn? Because their sleep was also conscious, and they were aware in sleep also. So they don't move. So they don't do extra effort even in their sleep. And some have violence in dreams and also violent bodily movements. All the things. Like children do that.
Yeah.
Babies.
It also they're running when they're sleeping, moving their legs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, while lying down, you can see how their body is working.
Not these dogs. They are just.
Il y a j'ai lu certaines philosophies disent que les cauchemars en fait permettent d'évacuer la peur de la mort parce qu'elle est tellement forte qu'autrement les gens peuvent mourir.
Yeah, the dreams can evacuate the fear of death.
Nightmare.
A nightmare. Right?
Evacuate?
Ouais. Non, j'ai lu ça, c'est une
But
philosophie.
she read that sometimes the dream can serve to save you from dying in your sleep by evacuating that fear of death.
Ouais, la peur de la mort.
Otherwise you would die in your sleep from that fear that you have.
Die in the sleep?
C'est, non, traduis bien.
When you have a nightmare,
Yeah.
very strong, and it's a way to evacuate to the fear of death.
Even after that you don't fear death.
Après ça, tu as peur de la mort.
Non, ça évacue parce que c'est un mot fort, la peur. L'émotion.
After you have less, you become.
Non, c'est.
T'as moins
Ça
peur de la
dépend,
mort.
voilà, non, ça t'as pas moins de peur de la mort. C'est des gens qui l'ont étudié et ils ont dit que ça permet d'évacuer les grosses émotions de peur. Dans la vie, les personnes ils ont peur de la mort mais ils ne sont pas conscients. Et donc ça permet ces cauchemars, ça permet d'évacuer cette peur.
To purge emotions.
Yeah, she's talking about
Purge
different
fear.
emotions.
Fear.
Je ne comprends pas.
Say it in Italian.
Sai che la filosofia che dice che se tu la gente ha così paura della morte che bisogna evacuarla attraverso gli incubi.
So she said that people, they're feeling so much death to die. So that there is a philosophy which say that people, they have this kind of training that they can get rid of this big fear by going through some nightmares or something. In these nightmares, they burn this fear of death, basically. It's true? What is the question?
Volevo sapere se esiste, se è vero, se è vero.
So she wants to know if this can be true or it's just like a speculation.
How the fear of death will go away by nightmare?
Com'è che la paura della morte può dissolversi quando tu sei unito?
No, non è che loro si preparano, è un'analisi che hanno fatto, un'analisi.
They said they just analyze that and they just give a statement like that.
Voilà.
It's not possible.
Can you check it out?
So we have to see the cause, what causes the fear of death, that is the identification.
Cosa causa la paura della morte?
So as long as the identification is there is fear of death.
Perché fin tanto che c'è l'identificazione col corpo, c'è paura.
And that is another thing that you can sometimes put yourself in ignorance, like somebody who is drunk. Most people commit crimes after drinking, because then you become more oblivious of the situation and then you're ready to do things or take risk. But that does not mean that they also become free from it. Freedom will come only, either you become completely ignorant, like a baby, or you become enlightened. As long as you have awareness of your body, you will have fear of losing it. Because fear means fear of losing something which you think is yours. That's what fear is. So as long as you identify with the body, there will be fear.
So I've heard that you can burn through emotions through meditation or chanting. You can release samskaras. So could that be similar, that the nightmares, or is that not true either?
No, you can burn when you do something consciously. Nightmare, if you do conscious sleeping and go through conscious nightmare, if there is any process for that, then it can work. But if you are having nightmare, you don't have any control over it. You are terrified.
Right.
So how is that going to help you?
Right.
It cannot. So even in psychotherapy, they help you to go through a traumatic experience consciously. So when you go through it consciously, then it gets weakened or digested. That is helpful.
Can it be possible that for example, now I told to Jaya this morning what I dreamed the last night. So I had the sensation that I could decide and do things as I want within the dream.
Yeah.
So this is possible, or is just like a...
Yeah, it is possible.
So it's possible.
In dream also you can take decisions.
Yeah, exactly. I took a decision and then everything was fine. Going like...
Okay.
Okay. But we don't create karma.
In dream we don't create karma. We are only exhausting the past karma. That's why dreams are good. That's why you feel fresh after that.
Not always. Like once I learned about war, it was some war and I was escaping and I didn't feel fresh at all. I was tired. I was escaping from there and so it wasn't fresh at all after this dream. Some dreams are cruel. Sometimes I fight for my life or I escape or I help someone from fire or whatever. And in the morning I'm tired. I'm just from fighting.
But if you have not dreamt, you will be more tired.
Maybe, yeah. So it's kind of a cleaning process.
If you don't sleep, you definitely will be more tired. Simple.
So do you have to have dream sleep, or can you just have deep sleep? Is it not possible to just have deep sleep?
It is possible if you don't have any karma and you have control over, which means you have control over your mind. Then you can avoid it. But at present we have no control over this process. Therefore, according to our impressions inside, we see things and our desires, latent desires, so they become manifest.
And what happens if sometimes I talk to science, like Saint Teresa? I talk to her, for example, she blessed me once. I mean, I don't what dream is it, or I see gurus, or I talk sometimes. I mean, at school sometimes, at school I learn something huge, with gurus, with people I don't know, monks. What is it then? I see sometimes science people in dreams.
Yeah, you can see.
And they talk to me.
There are various types of dreams. There are also various types of impressions lying inside you which you do not know. So they become activated in the dream. And that's why I'm saying that it also depends on your past karma. It's like you meet people in your life whom you have never met. Isn't it? You do meet new people, right? And you talk to them. It can also happen in a dream. You can meet new people in your wakeful state. You can also meet new people in your dream state. Because just like there is a wakeful world, there is also a dream world, depending on these impressions inside. So both are controlled by the karma. Yes. You are dreaming? Or do you like to dream?
Yeah. Sometimes we can choose also the dream that we want to dream.
Yeah, sometimes it can be. It is called lucid dreaming.
Going to dream that.
Okay, let's read the commentary on this. It says, Kshetragyo hi dvividha. So there are two types of Kshetragya, Paramatma, Jivatma. So there is Atma inside, which is also called Jivatma, and there is also Supreme Atma, Supreme Being, Paramatma. Both are called Kshetragya. Out of that, Paramatma is the real Kshetragya, because he actually knows. And we, the living beings, are secondary Kshetragya, a little bit, not so much. So in Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna also says, Kshetragyam chapi mam buddhi sarva kshetreshu bhata. Kshetra kshetra gayor jnanam yattas jnanam matam. So he says, idam shariram kaunteya kshetram iti abhidhyate. He says that this body is called kshetra. And he says that I am also, there is kshetragya, I am also the kshetragya. So the knowledge of all this kshetra and kshetragya, this is called real knowledge. Kshetra, kshetragya, jnanam, yattas jnanam, yatam. There are various types of knowledge, but to know the kshetra and kshetragya and how they are working, this means to know body and to know Atma and how they function together. This is the real knowledge. Everything else is secondary. This is what we should try to know. So there is Paramatma also sitting inside, because he is the shelter of everything, he is the fountain head, support. Without him nothing can work. So just like you may have a company, just to give you a crude example, so there is a director of the company or the owner. And then there are individual people, everybody has their responsibility, they are working in their particular departments. They have some knowledge, they function, they do work. So they will say, I do this, I do that, I do this. But they are all doing because there is somebody on top who is the basis of all this. Without him, the company will close. So like that, Paramatma is the actual support, he is the source of all energy, he is the controller of Atma as well as the body. and the consciousness in the jiva ultimately is coming from Paramatma. So therefore jiva is not independently conscious. And jiva cannot know independently. Even though it is called Kshetragya, but it does not have the ability to know by itself without Paramatma. So only by the grace of Paramatma. So everything is ultimately under the control. Just like the company is under the control of the boss, owner, director. Like that, Paramatma means the supreme controller. That's why it's called Paramatma. So we may not know this. In the company, the owner, most of the people may not even see the owner. They may have just heard that there is somebody like that. They may not see big company, there are people, 50,000 people working in a company. They don't know who is the owner of it. Yet he is the one who is running the whole thing. So like that, we don't know who is Paramatma, but actually it is by his power that things are happening. Whether we acknowledge it or not. And just as the owner is not interfering into the day-to-day activities of a simple worker, like that Paramatma does not interfere in our day-to-day activities. And because he does not interfere, we think he does not exist. And then we get into this trip that I am actually the real doer myself. I am the controller, or I am the enjoyer. I can act, I can perform activities and then I enjoy. That's how this illusion comes. So he says that there are two types of Kshetragya, Atma, Paramatma. Tayo prathama purva shloke uddishta uttar shloke vakshite. So the first one, the Jivatma, is being explained in this shloka and the Paramatma is explained in the next one. Dvitiyasya dvividho baddho muktasya. So he says this Jivatma, this Kshetragya called Jivatma is of two types. One which is bound, another which is liberated. Tatra mansa alingita tadabhimani baddha. So that who is embraced by the mind, which was said earlier, that it's embraced by the mind. Alingya maya rachitam ta atma svadehinam samskriti chakrakuta yasmin 6 he said. We read it. So that which is embraced by the mind, that is the bound one. That is called Baddha Jiva. And Tena Analingito Nirabhimani Mukta. And one who is not embraced by this, and therefore who is devoid of the material ego or identification with the body, he is the Mukta, like Jada Bharata. तयोः पूर्वो ज्ञायते एव ईदृश उत्तरः कीदृशः स्यादिति अपेक्षयामः क्षेत्रज्ञैः. So he says out of these two, Baddha, bound and liberated, the bound one we know because we are all bound. So how does the liberated one function? That is being described here. That's how he explains this. क्षेत्रज्ञ एता मनसो विभूति विचष्टे पश्यति जानाति केवलम न तो तदभिमानी सन भूंगते. So he says this mukta kshetragya or liberated kshetragya, he sees or he knows the vibhuti, all the various vrittis, modifications or states of the mind. And natu tadabhimani sandhu, but because he is liberated, so he does not get entangled in them, does not try to enjoy them, he just sees them. So he says that Suddha vichaste here Vishuddha karta, he only sees the activities. So that is only for the liberated one. like Jada Bharata. Others may become identified, Abhiman, that it is me or it is mine, and then they suffer or enjoy. Ateva Shuddha Sansar Mukta, Anyastu Asuddha Sansari. Therefore he is called here as pure, and the other one is impure, going through the cycles of birth and death. So Manasaha, these are all the vibhutis of the mind, manifestations of the mind. Kidrishi Nitya, they are Nitya, they are eternal. So how are they eternal? He says Anadita eva anugata. He says because they have no beginning, Anadi. So this is said in so many places, Anadi people don't understand this. When we talk about fallen down and this and that. So it has no beginning. Anadita eva. Anugata katham tarhi sadana drishyante. Then he says if it is eternal, why we don't see it all the time? Sometimes we don't have any vrittis. So he says avarhita kvapi jagrat swapnyo tirahita kvapi susupti prana. So he says sometimes they are manifest as in the wakeful state and in the dream state, and sometimes they are unmanifest as in deep sleep and in the state of dissolution, and the world becomes dissolved. So that state of dissolution and state of deep sleep, they are both similar, there is no difference as far as the experience of Atma is concerned. There is no like and deep. So this is his commentary on this, and then in the next one he is going to speak about the next Kshetragya.
Which verse was this?
12, 5:11.
Peut-être la question que vous pouvez, parce que le Bhagavatam c'est marqué à l'instant de la mort, on prend un nouveau corps. Et donc, est-ce que c'est autre chose comme dans certains philosophies
So, in Bhagavad Gita it is said that at the time of death, the soul takes another body. Is it immediate or is that the time for the soul?
Parce que tu dis que dans certains philosophies, ça reste 3 jours là longtemps.
There are philosophies that says that the soul stays 3 days and then leave. How it works?
Yeah, usually it is not immediate, it takes some time. But it is not that everything happens in the same way for everybody. Even Bhagavad Gita also says that some go to heaven, some go to hell, some stay here. So depending on what is the person's karma and destination, then things happen differently. Some may become ghost and stay there for years. So it's not always same. And Hinduism, they say it takes maybe 13 days. The book of Dead also describes like that. That's why they have all these various rituals. After the dead person, on 13th day they do the yajna. So, just to make sure that if the Atma is hanging somewhere, it will be released, move on to its destination.
Yes.
Yes.
it is not. Let her describe that basically between this the soul and the body, there is this conceptual knot, like a concept basically, which keeps the soul bound to the body.
Yes.
So then, and this is an illusion because somehow it comes because of Maya. So then, and this is beginningless. So it's meant to be like that basically. So there are like pieces of life, like we have peacocks, we have cows, and we have conditioned souls. And they're like that right from the beginning. I mean, there's no beginning, but they're like that. But there's possibility to change. So
Yes.
now, in this change, how it occurs that at one point, this concept dissolves and the person is not more conditioned and he becomes free like this bird.
Yeah, that's mentioned. And there are two types of Kshetranya in the Jivatma. Those who are conditioned and those who are not conditioned.
When they condition, they can change the situation. Okay, so then how it happens basically, like.
So when you speak loudly because there are other people listening so that they can also listen to the question.
Okay. So I just want to know how it happens because it's not that it's a reversible process. It's not like, it's like that. A peacock is a peacock and cannot change. But this type of soul as we are, or conditioned,
The soul of peacock is not different type of soul. The soul is same as yours.
yeah, but
It's only the body.
in the particular life, he cannot change anything.
And most human beings also. How many people actually change? Human beings have the facility, but how many take advantage of that?
Because they don't know.
So then they are saying. That's what Buddhism says, that if there is no jnana, there is no object.
So it then depends on knowledge.
Of course, if knowledge is not there, you act on the basis of knowledge. Your actions spring from your knowledge. If you don't have knowledge, how will you act? So they don't have knowledge, therefore they have knowledge, only the instinctive knowledge of food, shelter. They act on that. So knowledge, therefore human life is meant for knowledge. Jnanena hina pasubhi samam. Jnanam vitesam adhiko vishesam. Without knowledge, we are just like animals. And knowledge is of various types, but Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that knowledge of Kshetra and Kshetrajna. Knowledge of the body and knower of the body, and knower of the body are two. So knowledge of matter, knowledge of Atma and knowledge of Paramatma. This is a real knowledge. Etas jnanam iti prokta jnanam tado anyata. He said this is jnana and everything else he says is a jnana. It's not knowledge really. He does not even call it knowledge. Because what good is it? If you have to go from here to the third floor, so you have to take the stairs or lift to go up. So you have to move upward in the vertical direction. You can keep on moving on the ground. You're making movement. You say, I'm also walking. The other person is also walking on the stairs. But your walking makes no difference. You remain on the ground. No matter how much you walk. It's not taking you up. So therefore that walking, you will say it is no walking. That's what Krishna means, that it is not knowledge. That it is not uplifting you. So peacock and human beings, they have difference that human beings have the facility. Peacock and they don't have. But it's like you live near to the airport and somebody is living 500 miles away from the airport. So you have the facility to catch the flight. But if you don't catch flight ever in your life, when people living next to the airport, especially here in India, and so many of them never fly. So then this has no advantage for them if they are next to the airport. It's only a disturbance. And maybe they feel envious of others all the time flying, and I never go anywhere. So like that, human body means next to the airport. But if you don't take the flight, what good is it? It's only a disturbance. You are creating bad karma, misusing and suffering. Anything else?
I was just thinking about haunted houses.
About?
Haunted houses. Let's say there's a young married couple and they're looking for a house, and then they find one that they really like, and then they're told that, there were many murders that took place there, all kinds of terrible things. But they're so conflicted because the house is so beautiful, and it's got, but the spirits and things moving around. What do you say to someone like that?
It is possible, there can be spirits.
So if they are willing to deal with the spirits and have the luxury
They have to satisfy the spirits. Satisfy the spirits. So they don't bother them or they leave them.
Then to cook for them.
Yeah, I heard tales.
Make some bhoti yajna.
Excuse me?
Make some bhoti yajna.
But like I've heard stories where doors are closing and something passing by, and a couple may be trying to raise their children in a house that looks great externally and internally, but there's other things going on. All kinds of apparitions, sounds. So there must be some aspect of the couple that likes that. It's challenging.
Maybe they like it. Okay, Hari Bol.